All right. Yay! So thank you for being here, everyone. I know we have a lot of people that registered for this meeting tonight. So they may be popping in here as time goes on, and we'll just let them in when I see them there. So let me just turn the doorbell sound off so that's not happening the whole time. All right. So thank you, Tracy, for doing this interview. I'm so excited. I met Tracy at Nancy Sheridan's house. Nancy is a good friend of mine, and I signed up in Young Living under her. So she's our Team Platinum. And Nancy would host some events at her house, and that's when I met Tracy. I'm like, wow, Tracy knows a lot of cool stuff. I really want to get to know her. And so we went through some business training together, and then I reached out to Tracy to ask her about some functional nutrition and some weight loss, like from her perspective. And then I've been going to appointments with her for zone techniques. So this is going to be really interesting for everyone who's asked me what is zone, and like I'll let Tracy explain it. So let me just put the spotlight on for both of us so that we can get rolling here. There we go. All right, Tracy. I hope everybody has a warm cup of tea and a pen and paper, because you're going to want to write down everything that Tracy talks about. She's got a lot of great information. So Tracy, let's see. Where do we start? Like, you want to share your story? Like, how did you get into functional nutrition to begin with?
Yeah, but first, thanks for inviting me on to do this. These kinds of things are always a lot of fun. I think you know a lot of cool stuff too. You were a great coach during that mentorship program. So thank you for all that you've helped me with.
You're welcome.
So I think, like most people that work outside of the conventional medicine space and work in functional or integrative medicine or healthcare, came to it because of their own health issues. And that was definitely my story too. We weren't finding answers with conventional doctors. Let me just describe conventional versus functional, so people might not have be familiar with that term. So conventional medicine is the current medical system that we have. I don't call it healthcare because it's not. It's really a brilliant business model for disease management. That's the best way to describe it. It's designed to keep us sick and enslaved to prescription drugs. They never look at root causes. And, you go in, you get your 5-minute appointment, you get your label, your diagnosis, and your prescription, and then you're on your way with no answers. And, you come back a little while later, still sick, and you need something else. And it's just this vicious cycle of sickness and drugs and sickness and drugs. So functional medicine is a root cause approach to looking at disease and dysfunction in the body. So regardless of what's going on, there is a reason that it's happening. And we are not deficient in prescription drugs. We need nutrients. We need fresh air and sunshine. We need good sleep. We need movement. We need to manage stress and work through unresolved traumas and get those out of our bodies. Those are all root causes of disease and dysfunction in the body. So from a functional medicine perspective or an integrative perspective, that's where we come from. We look at what is causing high levels of toxicity in somebody's body, which is a major root cause. What's causing inflammation? So that's the big difference. You spend a lot more time with an integrative practitioner than you do a doctor. My initial consults with people are 90 minutes. So I really get to know them. I get to learn a lot about their lifestyle, what they're doing. And that gives me a platform to jump from, because everybody's journey is different and what they need is different from anybody else. But
Wow.
that's
So go ahead.
no, if I answered your question, but I got into it because of my own healthcare issues, my own disease, and I can talk about that.
Yes, yes. Please share your story. I'd love to know like where this all started.
Pretty much from birth. I'm the oldest of three siblings, and there was a lot of emotional abuse, some physical, mostly emotional abuse from birth for all of us. But I'll just share my story. The other ones can, that's theirs to share. So from as far back as I can remember, I was put on diets and food was restricted and food was used as a punishment. And I was never good enough or never measured up unless I was thin. And this is little kid, like 5, 6 years old. I was always told I was too fat. I was not good enough. This is what was happening. These are early memories. So, food to me became something, I don't really know what it became, but my eating became very disordered around 6. I remember sneaking food because I was just so hungry because I wasn't getting enough to eat. And if I got caught, it was pretty ugly. I can remember eating peanut butter and jelly out of the jar, like sneaking down at night because I was just so hungry, and I would just get in so much trouble, and food was restricted. And at dinner, I would get small plates where everybody else got regular size plates. So it was this kind of thing. And it wasn't just about food. There was a lot of emotional abuse just all over the place. Wasn't able to voice opinions and feelings. We were shut down. And that manifested in something really interesting later. And I'll share that in just a second. But I wasn't able to voice feelings and being hurt or angry or what I was going through. I was just shut down and told that I was angry and bitter and I needed to just stop. And so anyway, that was growing up, and that the disordered eating started very, very early. And then by the time I got into my teens, the eating behaviors became really, really extreme. I was binging and nobody knew. It was a really dark, dark secret. And I would come home from work at night or even come home from school. And I mean, I'm just eating boxes of cookies and literally gallons of ice cream. And I was just medicating with food. It was bad. And there was also a lot of drugs. There was a lot of really reckless behaviors. So it wasn't just food behaviors that were disordered. My emotions, my actions, everything across the board, my exercise was really disordered. I would go to extreme measures to do different things. So my weight really, really ballooned in my teens and my early 20s. And I was really sick. I would get heartburn so bad that I would just start to throw up. And I would go to doctors, and it was just like today. They would just want to give me pills, drugs, send me on my way, tell me I was too fat, need to lose weight. And never once did any doctor take even 5 minutes to say, like, what's going on in your life? What could be behind this? What's going on? Nobody ever did. And I just think that's really criminal in our medical system, because a major root cause of disease, and this is why I do what I do today, is rooted in unresolved trauma. And when there's a lot of childhood trauma, that is just a perfect recipe for adult illness. And it really needs to be addressed. So that's why I do what I do, because I work through the healing process. But that was not easy. In my 20s, I decided that I would run a marathon. And here I am I'm probably around 200, 230, 40, 50. I don't know. I never got on the scale. I never took pictures because I was just so shameful. I didn't want anybody to see me. I didn't want to look at myself. And I decided, well, I need to do something extreme. So I'm going to run a marathon. So I trained and I ran the Disney Marathon, 26 miles. And I lost a lot of weight, but also got really, really sick. And after the marathon, all the weight came back plus some. Again, it got really extreme. In my late 20s, I decided to train for a bodybuilding show. And if you want to pull that picture up, the next two pictures are an example of extremely disordered behavior, and it's just awful. So this bodybuilding picture, I'm in my late 20s, maybe 30. Not that one.
Sorry, I'm working on it.
It's
How do I
okay.
get to the other one? Here,
It's
let's
okay.
see.
As you're pulling it up, I'll just keep.
Okay.
So at that point, I did not know how to eat properly to train for what I was doing. It was all new territory. I didn't know what I knew. I didn't know then what I know now. So again, I got really sick. And the day after this competition was in June.
Okay, what are you seeing right now?
Just a black screen.
Oh, okay. Hold on just a minute. Let me see if I can share the right one. Okay, we're looking at the bodybuilding one, right?
Yeah.
What we're supposed to be doing. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I thought I had it together, but here we go.
Okay.
There you go.
This is sickness. This is sickness all the way. So this was in the month of June. 3 days later, I was in the hospital. The night of this, I went home, and up to this point, I had dieted so strictly and so severely that my body was completely depleted. I had no energy. I could barely move. And that night, I gained 25 pounds by the time I woke up in the morning. And I had to go to the ER. I was completely out of whack, everything. And I did no drugs. This was a natural show. We were drug tested. So there was no drugs involved here, no steroids. And the doctor wasn't convinced of that. He's like, I know you're on something, because I was so sick. So anyway, got out of the hospital, and believe it or not, I don't know how this happened. Well, I do, but I got pregnant. And so you can take this picture down. So I want to show you, this is June. The next picture you see is going to be April, 10 months later. Okay, this is about 150-pound weight gain. And again, I gained 75 pounds with my pregnancy on top of already being very overweight and sick. But I had not started the emotional healing at this point. But when my son was born 2 months later, he was born in May. This was about 2 months before that. So those two pictures were just very close together. When Nick was born, that was really the turning point. That's when God got my attention. And Nick was born sick because he was born to a sick mama. That kid did not have a healthy day for the first 4 years of his life. And when he was about 3.5, I saved up all of my money and I took him to a naturopath. And back then, they were really considered quacks. But we went, it cost a lot of money, and she spent about 5 hours with us, and she tested him for everything under the sun and me. She uncovered some root causes. She realized that Nick had been reacting to anything coming from a cow. So that was beef, that was milk, anything. And I drank milk all through my pregnancy. I was nursing him, still drinking milk. But within 2 weeks of her changing our food, and she put us on a very strict regimen of supplements, and she changed a few other things in our life. She looked at toxins. She looked at a lot of things. Within 2 weeks, he was a different child. And that's what opened my eyes to see the power that food has in our body, but also the ability of the body to heal and regenerate. That really started my healing process and my journey to doing what I do today. What I also ate every single day when I was pregnant was a Burger King, what are those things called? Whoppers. Every day. So I look at that person and I'm like, I don't even know who that is. That is so not me. And people don't know these things. These have been dark secrets for a long time, but it's time that people need to understand that they can heal. The healing journey is difficult and it can be long, but there's so much freedom on the other side. And so this is what ultimately led me to do what I do today and pay it forward and help other people along their journeys.
Wow, what a story. So I didn't know all of that before. You showed me a couple of pictures and you told me where you had been with the pregnancy and stuff. So that's a big deal.
You know, God uses experiences, and in the middle of that, right after Nick was born, I got saved. So that was another piece of the healing and the turning point, and really him getting my attention and saying, you know, I have better things for you. And, you know, the only thing I really wish is that I had somebody coaching me through. I really didn't. I mean, God placed certain people in my life. And I had certainly a lot of therapy and counseling and all of that. But it was really a long 20-year battle of blood, sweat, and tears, just every day, just fighting this battle, determined to heal and win it and not give in to that anymore.
Yeah. So now you like to help other people, and that's what you can do with what you have with your nutrition. And so how does integrative nutrition really differ from standard nutrition? I know you talked about that a little bit, but when it comes to like people that want to, like the mindset, people want to lose weight, what do they typically tend to do, where functional nutrition is very different perspective?
It is. And there's a lot of bad programming that comes from the conventional medicine system. And, you know, some of that programming is that it's all about calories in, calories out. And it's not looking at why, you know, weight gain is not a root cause. It's a symptom of an imbalance, and it's an inflammatory issue. So if you look at it from a why perspective, why is this happening? Why am I overweight? Why can't I lose weight? Then you have to keep going upstream to look at all of the possible root causes. Is it hormone imbalances? Is it nutrient deficiencies? Is it high levels of toxicity? Is it all of those things? Is it unresolved trauma? Is there something from the childhood or just multiple traumas piled on top of each other that haven't been dealt with yet? They're just still stuffed in there. That, to me, trumps food any day of the week. Stress and trauma will dysregulate the nervous system. And when you're living in that state of trauma and fight or flight, you really become paralyzed and your body can't move. Emotionally, your body can't move and your body can't heal because it's frozen, stuck in that fight or flight space. So that's one thing that the zone technique really helps with. I'm able to shift people out of that, get them back into parasympathetic, get the vagus nerve activated, reset the brain signaling, and get their body back in balance where the body can actually begin to function again and heal.
Right. Okay. So you brought up the zone technique then. And so how does that, like, what is that and how does it work?
So the zone technique has been around for almost 100 years now. And it's the teachings of Dr. Thurman Fleet, who actually practiced here in San Antonio. His institute, Concept Therapy, is still up in Leon Springs. And so he created the original, he was a chiropractor here, had a massive practice, thousands of people. In fact, the story goes that the police would have to close off Boerne Stage Road because of all the traffic going into his clinic. But anyway, Dr. Pete Goldman, the chiropractor that I studied under, took the teachings of Dr. Fleet and his teachings as modern chiropractic, and he kind of merged them, and he took zone therapy and made it the zone technique. So he kind of updated it, brought it into the 21st century with what we know now. So it's spinal cord stimulation, but a zone is a brain center that governs the system of the body. And if you want to pull up that poster, I can briefly go through the systems. Okay, so the zone technique divides the body into 6 large systems, and every organ, gland, and cell in your body is located in one of these systems, and it's governed by a brain center. So if you look at the top here, zone 1 or brain center 1 governs all the glands in your body. So think hormones. Brain center 2 governs the eliminative system. This is our body's waste management, all the ways we have of eliminating toxins. So that's skin, liver, sinuses, nose, throat, lungs, and of course, intestines. Zone 3 is the brain and the nervous system, which controls everything in our body. And this is what I do a lot with people. I see a lot of dysregulated nervous systems. Zone 4 or brain center 4 governs digestion, which starts in the mouth and it's all the way through the liver, the gallbladder, the intestinal tract, the gut microbiome, and the immune system. Brain center 5 governs the musculoskeletal system. And when that's in balance, we're going to experience things like no pain, but also our muscles and bones are going to regenerate healthy new muscle and bone cells at a fast rate. My dog's in the background. Zone 6, brain center 6 governs the circulatory system. So this is all the fluids in our body. It's blood flow, lymphatic flow, kidneys, heart, and thyroid. So if there's an imbalance in one of these systems, it's going to manifest in something physically. And the first thing I do when somebody comes into the office for a zone adjustment is I have them go down on the table because I palpate the head. Now, on these brain centers, there's nerve fibers on the back of your head that correspond with each one. And I can tell very quickly what's out of balance, and that your body tells me exactly where I need to go. And I can tell if something is an acute issue, like it's very new, or it's something that's chronic and your body's been dealing with it for a long time. So once I determine what's out of balance, there's 4 very specific points on the spine that correspond with that brain center. And when they're stimulated, and I stimulate with my hands, it sends nerve flow back to the brain. It resets the brain signals. So the brain is able to properly communicate back down through the spinal cord putting that system in balance where it can function properly and begin to heal. And the results of this are really off the charts, from minor issues to people with PTSD, all kinds of issues. There's really nothing, when you balance the body, everything heals. There's really nothing that it can't help with.
That's incredible. And I know some of the people probably on this call have probably been to you, including myself. So it's really an interesting technique, and I have experienced the results of it. The first time I went, I was like, well, this is just interesting. Let me find out. And then I was like, wow, there is really something to this. um, yeah.
And
So
yeah,
Mhm.
long term, I really see unexpected things. So everybody feels better when they leave, especially people that come in with pain. Pain is always just really improved right after the first visit. But over time, as I see people, I'll get these text messages. Like I got one the other day. I've been seeing this woman for a few months, and she had an eye appointment recently, and it had what I was working with her on had nothing to do with her eyes, but we know everything in the body's connected, right? But her vision improved, and astigmatism was gone. So that was pretty cool to see that just balancing her body over these weeks and months, everything began to get better and improve.
That's incredible. Wow. So I know that you have a program that you just put together recently, right?
Starts today. Today's day one, the 14-day reset.
Okay. So how often will you be offering that? You'll have another 14 days later?
Yeah, I think right now I'm going to do it maybe quarterly. So I'm thinking I'll do another one maybe April,
Okay.
when we're starting to think about summer and bathing suits and all that kind of stuff. We'll get people reset and back on their way.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about that 14-day reset?
I'm really loving it. It's so much fun right now. We had our kickoff meeting last night. Today is day one. There's a private Facebook group for it. But the focus of it and the intent is to really just get people back to the basics. We focus on 8 core health principles. So like we learned in our mentorship program, if we have a goal of any kind, let's say we have a financial goal, our daily money habits have to be healthy, right? We can't be reckless with our money and then expect to meet our financial goals. And it's the same way with our health. We often think about the end goal. Oh, I have to lose weight, or I want to heal, or I want to do this. But what are we doing daily to foster that and to achieve that goal? So that's really our focus, is to put into practice these 8 core principles every single day, get them into a daily practice. And they're really simple and we know them, but we're not doing them. So it's eating real food. It's moving our bodies every day. It is looking around at toxins. So I have people going around their houses and looking for things that they might not realize are adding to their toxic load. We're learning to work through manage stress. So stressful situations during the day. Sleep is another one. Vitamin J, which I consider just as important as any other nutrient, and that's joy. How often do we, especially as women, when we're taking care of kids, we're working, we're doing this, that, and the other, we get lost in all of that, and we don't take the time to do things that make us happy. So that's a really important daily health habit that we need to practice. So that's our focus. It's not a full-on nutritional makeover, even though food is part of it. It's just really these very basic things to help us achieve those goals. They're sustainable, long term.
That's great. So how would somebody be able to participate like in your next program when you start it again?
So I did not charge for it, but there's a supplement protocol that in order to participate, you must get the supplement protocol. because that's part of the program. So that's the charge for it. If I did, last minute, I had a couple of Crossline people join who already had the supplements. So they just paid a flat fee of $75. And they're rocking and rolling along with the rest of us.
That's great. So anybody can participate, whether if they're one of your Young Living members, then they can participate for free. And then anybody that is not, they would have the option to either, like if they already have an account, a Young Living account, right?
Right. And they would just pay the fee of $75. And if they don't have the account, then new people will just buy the supplements, and that's their cost of registration.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, it's very generous of you to, invite other people in to participate with no matter, who's downline they're under. That's very kind. And you have offices now in San Antonio and Boerne, is that correct?
I'm in Boerne once a month. Yes, I'll be there on the 27th, next Saturday.
Okay, so anybody local can come for an appointment, and what kind of appointment, like what do you offer in your offices?
So in Boerne, all I do is the zone technique. I don't do any nutritional consulting up there at all. So that's just so you come in, get your zone adjustment, and be on your way. In the office in San Antonio is full everything. So nutrition consults, we do supplement protocols, obviously the zone technique. So there's pretty much everything going on in San Antonio.
Okay. And do you do anything online, like over the phone or Zoom consultations or anything?
I can do anything online. Anything nutrition can be online. So I've got some people out of state that I work with, and that's all Zoom or telephone. The only thing that really needs to be in person are the zone adjustments. Everything else can be done over the phone, so it doesn't matter where you live.
Okay.
And I have a couple people in my group that are on the East Coast, so.
Okay. Very good. Let's see. So we can open for questions, and I see that there are some questions in here. Thank you for posting those. Let's see. Is there anyone who can treat me with this method in Louisiana? Not Louisiana, Louisville, Kentucky. Sorry, Debbie.
Yes, for the zone technique, who do I know? Do I know somebody in Kentucky? You can go to thezonetechnique.com, and there's a directory of practitioners on there, and you just put in your city or your zip code, and it'll pop up anybody in that area. You
Okay.
might have to drive a bit. There's only about 1,000 of us in the country, but there'll be some people in Kentucky.
Yeah, and Becky had that same question. Now let's see. For those of you on Facebook Live, you can ask questions too. I've got your comments up so I can see it. Alpha says that's very interesting about your son and the food allergies. Thank you for sharing. And she also said natural doctors have helped her and her family with their turning points as well. So I think a lot of us here have, haven't we? We've turned to natural alternative.
Yeah.
Original.
Original, right. That's what I was just going to say. We call it alternative medicine or natural medicine, but this is how we've been taking care of our bodies since the beginning of time. God designed us so perfectly and so beautifully to heal. We have every mechanism in our bodies to be able to do that, and our bodies want to heal. And the minute we start to give them tools and start taking care of them, they respond immediately.
Yes. And we've seen a lot of that just with, learning how to use essential oils, taking the toxins out of the home, changing the food that we're eating, so many good things.
Yeah, essential oils, they're the original medicine. You know, God starts talking about using plants as food and medicine in Genesis. And
Hmm.
you know how many oils are mentioned hundreds of times throughout the Bible. This is what we've used forever, even in Chinese medicine. Our
Yeah,
body knows what to do with plants.
yeah. Yeah, we do entire studies on that. So if you haven't seen the Oils of Ancient Scriptures classes or something, let us know. We'll send you a link to some of the teachings on that. And we're looking at maybe a 5-hour workshop coming up soon. So anybody wants to go to that, let me know and I'll get you the information.
That would be
So,
great.
yeah, Nancy says, can you share how you integrate oils in your practice? That's a good question.
I use them a lot. Oh my gosh. Well, they're all over. You look in my office and I've got oils spread out everywhere. Um, so when I have somebody in front of me or they're on the table, I wait to see, first of all, what their head's telling me and where their head's telling me I need to go on their body. And so sometimes I'll choose an oil based on that. I use a lot of release. I use a lot of valor. Today, I had a man, and he needed some digestive help, so I used fennel on his belly. It just depends. Sometimes it's intuitive. Sometimes there's something intuitive that makes you go to a certain oil, or it's what's going on in their body at that time. But some of my go-tos for especially women, if the glandular system is out of balance, clary sage, the release, of course, the valor, copaiba. I love cypress. So a lot of people have pain, either sciatic pain or nerve pain or bone pain or muscle pain. I love cypress for that. So it's in the moment. It's either intuitive or what their body needs. I just grab an oil and go.
Yep, I've walked out of there many times with clary sage on me. Yeah, and so that would be the glandular system. And often my glandular system has been pretty thrown off from just either not allowing myself to get enough sleep, working, traveling, coming back. And then Tracy's like, okay, let's get you back in shape.
You know, I zone myself all the time and I check my head. And for whatever reason, I haven't quite figured it out yet, but your body doesn't lie. So I'm always a chronic zone 1.
Hmm.
So I'm doing it to myself all the time as well.
That's really cool. Something I think we could all maybe learn something new, right? But in the meantime, just go to Tracy and let her take care of that. It's kind of a pamper session anyway, because you do feel better afterwards. Nancy also said you've shared some really great testimonies about what the oils have done for your clients after a session. So,
Yeah, I see a lot of little kids too who and what I'm seeing the children for is behavioral issues. It's often neurological, but it's things like rage or just temper. Little kids like 4 and 5 years old. So with them, I will ask them to smell. I'll pick up a couple of oils and I'll ask them to smell first, and I see what resonates with them. And I had one little boy, he's 5 years old. I'll never forget him. It was so cute. He awful temper, just he would just have his mom up all night. They had to put a mattress in their room. See, that's the only place he would sleep, but he would just throw these tantrums that would last hours and nobody would sleep. So he was coming in and really, really dysregulated nervous system, but he also had a lot of digestive issues. So that's really what we were working on. And so I had him smell a couple of oils and he immediately And I don't even know why I picked up clary sage, because it wasn't anything. It was just something I wanted him to smell. Well, everything else he couldn't stand. He was just, no, 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 no. Well, I put the clary sage under his nose. His eyes got big and he started smiling. He's like, I like that. I want that one. So his mom's like, okay, well, I kind of slathered him in clary sage. And I got a phone call from her the next day. And she said, that boy slept through the night for the first time in, I don't know, over a year or something. And he was smiling. That was something that he wasn't doing either. He wasn't smiling. He was like emotionless. He was shut down. And he was smiling, and he started playing with his sister on the floor of my office. It was just really cool. And that was because he smelled an oil.
Wow. Yeah. Little ones really, you can see a lot of change with them. They don't have quite so much in the way that we've
Right.
accumulated.
I know, it's just response, pure and simple.
Right. Wow, that is pretty cool. So, okay, does anybody have any other questions for Tracy? She's right here, so it's a great time to ask. If you've got something that you've been thinking about, go ahead and comment. You can comment in the Facebook Live. That's why I keep looking down here, because I'm checking that here. And then we've got you ladies on live with us. We've got Lori with us. We have Heather Noggle. Hi, Heather. Becky, Debbie, Jeanette, Lola, and Nancy, and Michelle all here on live. And then we have several on Facebook that are here with us. So if nobody has any questions, then I don't know. Do you have anything else you would like to share, Tracy? Or
Um, I guess maybe a takeaway message is whatever you're dealing with, physically or emotionally, just know that it can heal. The body's incredibly regenerative, and there's really nothing that you can't come back from. You just need to reach out and get the right kind of help. And if you're tired of being on a prescription treadmill, if that's you, I don't know, then there's another way. So just know that you can heal.
yeah, thank you for that. I know there's so many women that I've been in contact with that have just been hopeless about their weight loss, and it's not. I've reassured them that it's not their fault. It's there's choices that we make for different reasons, and sometimes there's other things going on that's not just decisions in our mind.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah,
And sometimes it just takes somebody to spend a few minutes with you and talk some things out and help you figure things out, which is what flips the switch.
right. And it's not just weight, any kind of chronic things that are going on. That's usually there's some other root.
Yeah. So most people that come in have diabetes, autoimmune disorders, cancer. And I've got a lot of great testimonies in all of those.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time. Alpha says, I believe that to be true. Thank you so much. She appreciates the talk here, and we have this recorded, so we'll post this on my YouTube. And if you have any questions for Tracy, how can they get in touch with you?
You can always call me. You can look me up on Facebook. I'm just under my name, Tracy Carlson, Alive Health. You'll see my logo there. My email address is alivehealthtx@gmail. My website is the same, alivehealthtx.com. And my phone number is 210-818-3278. So any of those ways you want to contact me is great.
All right, wonderful. And if you're out of town and you come to visit me and you want to go see Tracy, just let me know. We'll set something up with her and go for a visit. All right. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. This was lots of fun.
You're welcome. All right. Okay, stop recording.